All right, episode number 35. Today I have one of my great friends, Hobie Barret, on the show. Hobie and I, we go way back as well. I think,
Yeah.
I don't even know, 6, 7, SA2, right?
2, 3, something like that. Yeah.
That. But yeah, I think we met at breakfast.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we met at breakfast, and you and your wife were there, and we just kind of hanging out, and we didn't know each other. Just sat down, started talking, and I think we kept talking that year and the next year. And we all obviously we all get busy, and we're talking before the show. We always follow each other on Facebook, check in with each other here and there, text here and there, but we haven't talked in a few years. So I was like, I need to get Hobie on the show. He's got a lot going on, a lot of changes the last 3 years, and I thought it'd be great for the listeners to hear your story. All the changes you've made, the changes you're going through, what helped you scale, and just wanted to bring you to the show and welcome, and thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So you heard my story. I kind of caught you up with what I've been up to in a short synopsis in like 5 minutes, but let's kind of catch everyone else up, like from where I met you at SA2, like what you're doing then, how you got in industry, and then kind of how it all evolved and where you're at today. So I know this could be, 15, 20 minute story, but it'll be a lot to talk about once you get through it. And I want to hear about last year. I'm excited to hear about that part.
Yeah, last year was crazy.
Sweet.
So I started the business in 2009. I was working for a commercial landscaping company that's based out of Atlanta, but had an office here in Savannah. And I had worked for them for a couple of years, and the economy went down in 2008, and I got laid off and had the bright idea to be my own boss. It's kind of funny. My dad always worked for himself my whole life growing up, but he never really pushed me to be an entrepreneur. He was not a fan of dealing with employees. So he, most of my life, I can remember he worked for himself. When I was real little, he had employees. At some point he got fed up with it. So, just did it on his own. He was a land surveyor. But anyway, so I got laid off. I started in 2009. Same kind of thing. Like, most everybody bought a used mower and borrowed a trailer from my uncle and printed some business cards off and went around to everybody I know and started cutting grass and trimming bushes and all that kind of stuff. My background, I went to college for golf turf management.
Nice.
Yeah, so I had actually done that for 3 or 4 years of college, and then somehow I ended up on the landscaping side of things. So I guess about 4 or 5 years into doing the business, I started offering FERT weed control, but it was kind of just like a little small upsell to my mowing clients or whatever. And I think for a long time, I didn't really, it was just an upsell. Like I didn't grasp, the numbers to it and where it could go or whatever. So, so I guess maybe like 4 years into the business or so, I started using Service Autopilot.
That's when we met.
Yeah. And then started hanging out with you guys and got involved in Academy for a little while. And so what, I'm here 14 years later now, I guess.
Goes by fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, man. Geez. You look back and like, gosh, how much time's already gone by.
For sure. So who was Hobie in high school? Who was Hobie? If you and I were sophomore, juniors in high school, who was Hobie then?
Oh man. So I grew up at the beach here in Savannah. So I was kind of a beach bum, river kid. Like we had a boat, man. We used to go out in the boat all the time. I didn't really play a whole lot of sports in high school. I did some when I was younger, but didn't really mess with that when I got to high school. I worked at a marina when I was in high school, which was cool. Got good experience there. The people that ran it were just good people and give you a good hard work ethic, values kind of thing, and I actually keep my boat there now. So awesome. It's kind of funny. The guy that was my boss there is still there. Yeah. Great dude, always looking out for me. My brother worked there. Like all my buddies worked there. Like we all of us worked through there.
That's cool. One of your early mentors, would you say?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
We all have those guys that one of our first jobs that taught us a lot along the way,
Yeah.
There's still things that they said back then that I still remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
What made
yeah,
you,
still,
what made
you
you
know,
choose to go into college for turf grass?
I don't know, man. I knew I wanted to work outside. Like school was never my thing. I got through school, but it was never like my thing. So I knew I wanted to work outside, and my uncle had a good friend of his that was a superintendent. Hilton Head's right across the river. I don't know if you know anything about Hilton Head, but there's tons and tons of golf courses over there. So I went to go visit him. My uncle took me over the day to go check it out, and I was like, man, this looks cool. Like outside. And so I applied to go to college at this small school down in South Georgia that has a turf degree program, ag school, and I applied. I got in. I went. I plugged through it, and that was just what I was going to do. That was the plan.
Do you remember anything that you learned that you that you equated into your
Man,
business?
not necessarily from that. I guess I don't know. No, I did get to build a golf course, and I lived in Orlando for a few years. That was super cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I ran the crew that was installing the irrigation. So like we were running big track hose and putting in 14-inch main line and connecting all those heads to the control box. I mean, you got 50 wires running, and I guess there I did learn some stuff, like a lot.
A lot of on-the-job experience for sure.
Yeah, a lot of cool, technical stuff, that kind of thing as far as irrigation goes.
So when you started the company and you're doing maintenance and sharp print trimming, did you guys start doing irrigation and all that as well?
Yeah, I was doing repairs, and then we did installs for a while. I'd actually worked for another guy at some point in between there that he did a lot of commercial landscape work, so installing irrigation systems, planting, all that. So I learned a lot there too. So yeah, I mean, I was able to bring all that in when I started the business, and I did install irrigation for maybe 4 or 5 years. Not the funnest work in the world, hard. And it's funny, the last one I did, we had new construction, trenched it all out, got all the pipe in the first day. Was not supposed to rain that night, but it ended up raining, and I hadn't put any dirt on the pipes, and they all floated up. And so the next day we were out there hand digging all that stuff back out, and I was like, I'm done with this. That was the last install I did.
So how long did you do you still do a lot of install work, or are you completely out of all that?
I am for the most part completely out of all of that, although I'm right smack in the middle of trying to finish one up. We started a couple weeks ago. My uncle built houses, and he was finishing up a big nice house in a high-end neighborhood here in town, and called me. He's like, "You want this job?" And I knew it was kind of one of those things, like if I said yes, I got it kind of thing. So I took that on. But no, I mean, 90% of what we do is cut grass, trim bushes, lawn fert, a little bit of Christmas light work.
You're doing irrigation repairs still?
A little bit. I try to sub that kind of stuff out, honestly.
Yeah. So your main services are still mowing, trimming, fert, weed control, any mulch installs, anything like that?
Oh yeah, well,
enhancement work.
Down here we do pine straw.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually have a guy that does pine straw, and I've used him for a couple of years now, and that's one of the best things I ever did. Like, he's so awesome. And pine straw is hard to make money on, because you got a bunch of guys down here that run around and do it for $4 a bale or $5 a bale, and I should be at, I don't know, 13 or something.
Yeah.
To make any money on it, so I just send it. I bundle up 4 or 5 jobs at a time and send it to him, and he goes and does it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then we do a little bit of enhancements. We get into wintertime, like plant some plants, that kind of thing, lay a little sod just to keep the guys busy. But once we get into this time of year, it's mainly cut grass, trim bushes, fert, and every now and then take on something I probably shouldn't at this time of year. But
just say no.
Yeah, right. I know. I have to get reminded of that every once in a while.
Yeah, well, I'm a quick start too, and I get shiny objects get at me too, but I've learned to control myself for the most part these days because my team won't let me. Like I would go do it, but like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, all right, sounds good. You're probably right. So just having those people to hold you accountable, like, yeah, we're not going to do that. Yeah, you're probably right. How many guys are you sitting at now? Like when we first met, we were both at small companies.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not much bigger, probably. I got 6, 7 guys.
Nice.
Running 3 maintenance trucks and a FERT truck, depending on what's going on. Yeah. I try to be more and more efficient with what we got. I don't know, you know.
For sure.
I mean, I still have a pretty small service radius. I mean, we probably go 12, 15 miles.
That's so wild.
I got it's the original box truck I got. It's a 2014, and I think it's got like 55,000 miles on it or something.
Unbelievable. Like,
yeah.
I hear that all the time. Man, we don't travel more than 12 to 15 miles. I'm like, we got to travel like an hour a lot of times. No. We just do because where we're at, you know. Just
where you are. Area. Yeah.
The last time that I think we talked, you had a super lawn truck, but it got wrecked.
Yeah.
What happened there?
So I had this really crazy year last year. I had 3 trucks.
That was last year?
That was last year, yeah.
Oh.
3 trucks get wrecked. None of them our fault. But the box truck thing was the craziest. My guys were going through downtown, and there was a company painting a building, and they had one of those big 60-foot man lifts with the wheels on it, and they had boomed it out across the road, and had no barrels, no cones. Well, actually, they had barrels, but they were right up against the wheels of the machine, and the boom, you know, it goes out and then back up, and my guys couldn't tell the height, whatever, I guess, you know. I mean,
they're just driving on the road.
Yeah, right. And it clips the top of the box truck and basically peels the back of the box truck off.
Oh, really? Like I laugh. That's wild.
Yeah, man. So
odds that happening are 1 in a trillion, I feel.
I have a video of it, and you watch the video. I mean, it's like, you know, another foot up, and they would have missed that thing. Would have missed it. But
we should get that video and link it in the bio.
Yeah,
for real.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. Pretty wild deal, but
and these trucks are like, they're not cheap trucks.
No,
they're $100,000 truck somewhere in there.
Days.
They're
absolutely.
The Tony Bass trucks, the super lawn trucks.
Yeah.
So like they're driving down the highway going what?
No, they weren't going fast. It's downtown Savannah, so I mean they were doing maybe like 30 miles an hour. But it was still enough to. I mean, it just peeled that thing apart.
Unbelievable.
So luckily downtown's only 5 minutes from the shop. So we were able to drive the truck back here. The door was all hung up on it. I mean, we needed to keep the day going. I was like, this was in the morning. Like we barely even started. I'm like, man, we got work to do. So we brought it here to the shop. I grounded some of the little wheels off that rolled the door up and down and hooked a tractor with a strap to it. And we ripped the door off, and I ran and rented a truck and a trailer, and like we got back to work. But that has turned into a real debacle. Funny, I had a conversation with my now former insurance this morning. I'm still trying to get her paid for that.
Really?
Yeah. I ended up putting it on my insurance because I needed to get the truck fixed, and they couldn't figure out who was responsible for running that lift and all that. And now my attorney's involved.
Oh, right.
Like, it's been ridiculous, but yeah. So anyway, 3 trucks wrecked last year. A few other things. I don't know, all kinds of craziness.
So I want to stay on that topic. So what about all the equipment that was inside? Did that get wrecked too?
No, it was fine. Fortunately.
Wow. And then how long was that truck out of service? Is it
almost 3 months, I think.
3 months?
Yeah.
So are you trying to get?
I'll give you guys you guys the picture. I had to take some big old ratchet straps and ratchet around the whole box thing and ramp and get the ramps up, because they came to pick it up and took it back to Tony's shop, which is about 2.5 hours up the road, and put a whole new box and everything on the back of it.
Wow.
Luckily the cab and chassis was fine.
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
But
so with your insurance, are you trying to get loss of revenue for that truck being down for that long as well?
What I was originally trying to get out was about $9,000 or $10,000 I spent renting a truck and trailer.
Yeah.
But they just recently sent me a letter saying they're not going to renew my insurance because of those wrecks, which none of them are our fault. So now I'm at this point, like, I mean, my insurance is about to go up. Who knows how much?
Right.
At this point, I'm about to try to get like,
yeah,
I want my rental money back, and I would probably like to have the amount of money that was put on my insurance claim. I mean, I think that was like a $35,000, $40,000 repair.
Unbelievable. So that's one wreck.
Yeah.
What about so you have 3 super long trucks or just one? I mean, you have.
No, I got 2 of those, but before that one happened, I had a guy slam in the back of my personal truck. No insurance, uninsured motorist.
Is that legal in your state?
Is it legal?
Yeah.
To drive with no insurance?
Yeah.
No, but he didn't get arrested.
Really?
No. He works for the landscaping company 3 doors down. His boss showed up, checked on him, and took him on to work.
Unbelievable.
And then another month or so, I guess, after the box truck wreck, we had a guy hydroplaning and slamming into the side of one of our pickup trucks.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's
every time like something happened last year, I'm like, okay, this is the last thing. This is the last thing, and like something else would happen. And there's a whole bunch of other little things in between there, but whatever. Those were the major things.
Yeah, that's nuts. I remember like years, like just thinking like every year it seems to be the same thing. Like I remember this year where we just kept going through tires. Like for whatever reason, that year was just a year of tires. Like your year was basically accidents last year. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
So were those all same time, different times?
I don't know.
Like at one point, did you have like 2 or 3 trucks down at the same time?
Well, I drove my truck for a while. It was drivable. It just busted up on the back end. No, it was far enough out that nothing was really. I don't know. I may have had 2 rental vehicles at one point.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn just from that. Like the stress level alone is probably
it's through the roof.
I bet.
And then just dealing with insurance, man. Insurance is, I don't know. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, sometimes they can be great and sometimes it can be a pain in the butt.
Yeah. I've been on the pain in the butt end here for a while.
Yeah, and I'm not an attorney, so I can't give you advice there. But obviously, you have an attorney, let them handle it, and hopefully you'll get compensated for it back. You know, and I'm sure in time. Yeah. But who knows how long that'll be?
I know. It's almost a year now.
Yeah. So when did you start doing Christmas lights then?
Oh man, I started messing with that, Jones, probably about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, cool.
And I don't know, for the first 3 years, like nothing would come of it. Like I'd put little flyers together and send out email blasts, to my current like bass, flat bass, lead bass. I think my thought on it was like nobody in my area really knew that it was even an option to have somebody put up Christmas lights because it wasn't, I think Texas and up north is a big thing. Down here at the time, it didn't seem like it was. To my knowledge, there was really nobody else doing it. So about the first 3 years, really nothing came of it. I mean, I got a few clients, but then the last couple of years, it's picked up quite a bit. I mean, I don't grow it like some of these other guys do. For me, it's like trying to keep one of my maintenance crews busy through that slower time of year. But yeah, the last couple of years with it's been pretty good.
Cool.
Getting a lot of phone calls, a lot of leads, a lot of estimates. People now realize that it's available. You see a lot more guys out there marketing it and that kind of thing.
When do you start marketing for your Christmas lights?
I usually start at the end of July. Do like the Christmas in July special kind of thing, or middle of July.
Would you give them a discount for signing up early?
Yeah, usually like 10%, and try to get them to obviously to do
put them up early.
Things. Yeah, at least the ones that are just bulbs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I read something the other day though. Somebody was saying they were already sending out their renewals. And I was like, that's a great idea. Actually, I need to jump on that rather than waiting another month or so. It's an interesting thing, man. With like the whole like trying to keep all the inventory and like as you're hanging and trying to keep up with what you put out and what you still got in stock, and like it's I don't know. To me, it's almost crazier than spring rush in landscaping, honestly.
Where do you store it all now? Do you have like a storage unit, or do you have
I got a storage unit? Yeah.
You just have it labeled tape.
What's that?
You have it all labeled with tape of whose house it is, and do you have a diagram or something in there?
Yeah, they're all in big, black Tupperwares with the client's name on it and the address, and then we draw like a little map of the storage unit of where people are, and save it in the Google Drive file for next year.
Do you have that all inside Service Autopilot too?
Like all the estimate template and all that. Yeah, it's all built out in there.
Nice. This makes things pretty easy. How are you marketing to get new Christmas light clients? Something we don't talk about a lot about on this show is Christmas light. I think we've only talked about it one other time. So
yeah, mainly relying on like our upsell emails through Service Autopilot, and then people tend to just find us on the web. I've never really done any. That's like, like I said earlier when I first started, I did like some direct mail or flyers or something like that. But the last couple of years, like upsell emails and Service Autopilot, and then people just finding us on the web.
That's cool. I know I have a friend, shout out to Chris if you're listening, but he got this trailer and he got it wrapped.
Yeah.
And then he has a big stereo set up in there that plays Christmas music. So the whole neighborhood can hear it. So when they're out there putting up Christmas lights, all the neighbors looking like, what the heck's going on out there? They hear Christmas music, and you see those guys putting up Christmas lights. Like, that's fire.
That's
super
awesome.
Cool. And it's and he showed me pictures of it, and I heard like it's a really, really smart idea.
Yeah.
And then I have a friend, the friends that they just blast like the lawn signs too, like go crazy on lawn signs for Christmas lights.
I've done a few of those over the years. They do get it. They tend to get some calls. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I like those upsell emails in Service Autopilot.
It's so easy. I mean, they're already your clients, you know what I mean? So the trust is already there.
We have like this whole area where we don't do, it's actually, we're doing that big install right now, but we don't do maintenance or anything like that. But over the years, like we always get people reaching out from out there wanting quotes for that. So I just throw them in Service Autopilot and put a tag on them. And then when it comes to Christmas light upsell time, pull the tag off and let it, like they're great. It's a little further out, but it's a higher end neighborhood. It's just great for Christmas lights.
So I know not a lot about Christmas lights, but the company that I purchased this spring or last winter, whatever it was, they do a lot of Christmas lights. So I've learned a ton in the past year, not because I knew anything about it, but because we started doing it because they had, already had really good revenue from it. So I had to deep dive in and learn pretty quick, but they had so systematized already that I was just walked in. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And I saw the margins that they were getting. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like I can't believe it.
The renewals are awesome. You needed a little bit of that first year, but man, 2, 3, 4 year, like.
Yeah, they had a client that they've been doing for 5 or 6 years. That was $25,000 a year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is incredible. And it takes, the guys a day to put up the lights. I'm like, we're going to keep running with this one. Sure.
And most of those lights, I mean, they hold up.
Yeah, they do.
Well, I haven't had to replace a lot, Yeah. Some little plastic clips here and there and a bulb here and there, but it's good money at the tail end of the year.
For sure. In like I said, again, like for us being cool season and get snow, like our lawn techs get laid off. By the end of September, early October, which is perfect timing to just start shifting some of that labor over there to help scale that up too, So that's why we just thought, we're just gonna keep doing that, and they'll be off, 1 month in January, or December, whatever, between December 24th and January, whatever, February 1st, I think is when they start doing their takedown. So, and then they keep busy. So that was one advantage for us, not having to lay people off.
Yeah, for sure.
So I just shifted labor from my company to that company, and we'll scale up the Christmas lights and keep those guys busy. Yeah. So. And a lot of, like since we last talked, we've had 2 more kids, I think. You had her head, right?
Oh, man.
You had a baby when you first
met. We had a baby. Yeah. She was a baby. Yeah. Yeah. So we had 2 more. So we got that 5-year-old, 4-year-old, 10-month-old.
And how's that been going? How do you deal with like running the business and being a father of 3?
It's hectic, man. I don't know what's more stressful, like the kids and all their stuff or the business. I don't know. Luckily my wife works from home and she has a lot of flexibility too with her job. So, I'm very grateful that I have the flexibility I have with doing this, man. Like, cause
Yeah.
I don't know how people that have to work like full 40-hour or like a 9 to 5 kind of thing do it, dude. Like it's, there's
Yeah.
always something. One of them's sick. One of them's got some activity. I mean, there's always something, you know?
Yeah. And I get it. Like, but after like 4 or 5 o'clock, right? Like their minds get to shut off. And I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm just
Yeah.
thinking, and ours don't.
Yeah.
Like
Don't.
it doesn't ever stop. Like I'm sending out emails at 12:30 last night.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't stop ever.
Yeah.
And but which I love, right? I absolutely love it.
Sure.
And then I'm up by 5:30, 6 o'clock, just starting at it again. So I feel like people that are just working 9 to 5 at 5 o'clock, they shut off and just focus on the family and do their things. But I get it.
Yeah.
Especially like baseball season. Like my oldest son plays baseball, and they have games during the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how these people get off work to go watch the job or go watch the games. I can leave because I have a little bit of flexibility, but
right.
Yeah, I could see why people could miss stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But that's why we do what we do. It's not about the money all the time. It's about the freedom, right?
For sure. Yeah.
We get
100%.
to enjoy not missing our kids' stuff.
That's right.
I say that, but my daughter's at a wrestling camp right now, and I'm missing it. But not because I didn't want to go, but she's like, Dad, you're not going. I'm like, So I just get updated with videos.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I'm fortunate, man. I got 3 beautiful, healthy kids, and
then Jen works from home, so it works out pretty good.
Yeah, she started that like right when COVID started. Like,
really?
Took a new job working from home like in that January, and then I think by March COVID had happened and everything was shut down and closing, or everybody's going home to work anyways. Yep. So it worked out well.
How much did COVID affect your guys' business down there?
Not much.
Not much. So Savannah
Georgia
stay wide open.
I wouldn't say it didn't touch it, man. Other than us, doing some extra sanitation on trucks and trying to keep guys from getting sick. I mean,
did you like stage them like their start times, or how did you handle that?
No, we did move all of our meetings outside. We try to do a morning meeting every morning, and we started doing those outside in the little parking lot area of the shop. Try not to have more than 2 guys in the truck kind of thing, wear masks, that kind of thing while they're riding the truck, just to, like I said, wipe the trucks down every morning, just try to sanitize as much as we could.
For sure.
But no, we were fortunate, man. I mean, it didn't really affect us at all. We had a couple hotels we were doing at the time, and maybe another commercial property that we ended up losing just because, they weren't bringing any revenue. But, as far as everything else goes, it was pretty much normal, other than, as normal could be in that situation.
For sure. So we talked about a lot of the losses in the past year and a half. There's obviously a lot of big wins. Let's just let's start touching base on some of those big wins that you've had in the last few years and what's really pushed the needle forward for you guys.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things is I joined a new peer group about 3 years ago now.
Which one?
It's called ProSalt.
Okay, never heard of it.
No, but it was like a top secret thing to me, man.
Nice.
I had gotten stuck for a few years in the business, and just, I don't know, and whatever I was doing just wasn't working, and it's kind of the point of like beating my head against the wall, I'm like, just over and over again. And I knew a guy that had joined this peer group. I didn't know what it was at the time, but about a year or 2 before. And I reached out to him. I'm like, all right, man, what's up with it? Same kind of thing, follow along, what we're doing on social media kind of thing. And could tell he was doing pretty well with it. And so I reached out to him. I'm like, what's that peer group you joined? And he told me about it. And I joined it, and it's been great, man. Like, it's helped me out a lot.
Is the industry specific? Not really.
No, so they run it for, it is, but it isn't. They run it for roofers, painters, and landscapers.
Gotcha.
There's so in my individual little group, there's 11 or 12 of us, and I think altogether there's 100 or so landscapers, and then whatever the painters and the roofers are. But that's been really helpful.
How are the calls, like once a month, twice a month?
No, it's a structural different than that. They do an annual meeting once a year for a couple 3 days. Then they have like a website, and you do benchmarking.
Yep.
So everybody enters their numbers, and that kind of whole thing. And I don't know, I'd say within the last year, they're doing some more calls, like Zoom calls, that kind of stuff, but it's not structured like what Academy was, where we had a call every month, it was some topic. It's a little different than that. And then their whole big thing is like, going to visit other guys in the peer group and doing shop tours with them and spend a day or two.
How many shop tours do you guys do? Do you do them together or just individually?
You just do it individually. Okay. It's kind of up to you, like just call up somebody, hey man, I'll come see what you're doing.
Yeah, just building a network up. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So that's been really helpful. That's helped me out a lot. It kind of got me over that stuck hump. And we've been.
What was the biggest thing you've taken from that group? Like what got you over the hump, and where were you stuck? Kind of a loaded question. So.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing was they had me start tracking my numbers a little bit differently. And I actually started to realize like I had some routes that like we were losing money on. But like looking at it on a budgeted hour basis, like guys were hitting their budget hours, but it was the in-between time that was killing us.
Drive time.
Yeah, drive time, morning time, whatever, I don't know. And so, I mean, I basically like started every single day. I just started a spreadsheet, but they call it sales per hour, SPH is their term for it.
Okay.
So I just started tracking that like every day by crew, by week, and I started looking at it. I'm like, oh, this crew is not making any money at all, and that helped a whole lot. And I haven't got there yet, but their big thing is like running one-man crews.
They're so efficient.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. Like that's the most efficient route possible.
Even like mowing crews, like a lot of these guys in my peer group, they run like one-man mow crews. Yeah. Like I haven't quite got there, but
obviously you need twice the equipment, right? Or for every one person, right. you need a truck setup. As far as efficiency goes, though, like it is absolutely the most efficient way.
Yeah. And so another thing too, I'm still trying to get implemented or change a little bit is we've always, and I don't know, this is a Georgia thing, I guess, or, we expect our mowing crews to do shrub and bed maintenance all within the same visit. And I've learned to these guys, like you don't do it that way.
Sure.
It's like
separate things. Crew.
So, yeah. So,
do you pay your guys hourly or are they like commission based?
I've got them on a percentage based thing. Cool. I started that. I tried that like 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
I've heard that so many times.
I just think the numbers weren't right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or the way I was trying to do it, and I bailed on it. And we picked it up, I think, last July again. And it's been good so far. Like the guys seem to grasp it, and they're all making a little money.
Yeah. So obviously, with that company, peer group you're working on, you obviously raised prices and got rid of some routes that weren't making any money.
Yeah.
Now you move these guys to pay for performance, so now they're making good money because those routes are efficient. Those routes are profitable. Yeah. Like, that all just adds to the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, without the bottom line, without net, we can't grow the company. So it totally makes sense and to help you get through a tough spot, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think another thing that helped me out too, I did for talking about groups and that kind of thing. I did Jason Cupp's roundtable.
He's a stud.
Maybe about 3 years ago.
Shout out to Cup.
Yeah, man. Probably one of the best things I've ever done.
Yep.
There's a few things I've done that like I can look back on like that were really helpful. I did Tony Bass's Profit Builder class a couple of times, like way early. That helped a lot. And then Cups Roundtable about 3 years ago, that really helped a lot.
Did you go to his house, Kansas City?
Yeah. He put us up in an Airbnb with like 7 or 8 of us, and we went to his house the night before, and then we did everything at the Airbnb. And you really got to know those group that who you're with right there, and really, really dig into numbers and that kind of thing. And
so basically, it's just like there's like I don't know 10, 12 people, somewhere in there. Yeah. And basically, I'll bring your financials from the past year, 3 years. And like you build out a budget, you go over what your future budget's going to look like, the back of the napkin budget. But then he really goes into depth and creates the really good budget to move forward. Really, really figure out your numbers and what you have to hit. To make sure that you're going to be in a good spot going forward. So it was again that's one of the best things I did too. Just sit down actually setting the budget. This is probably 4 or 5 years ago before I had all the people I have around me now. But yeah, I didn't know anything either, and just sitting down, like really making it clear for us.
Well, the biggest thing for me too, I took away from that before that, I didn't understand like the whole debt service thing.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, I'm always looking at like a P&L. I'm like, oh, like, hey, we're making, blah, blah, blah. And like, but I'm like, where's the money?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's going out and all those payments you're making every single month.
Yep.
And that's probably one of the biggest things that I took out of that is understanding that made a big difference.
So, but yeah, and that all that stuff kind of goes together, right? You just more profitable, knowing your numbers. And I think there hasn't been a single person on the podcast yet that hasn't said, going back from day one, the first thing that they would have got better understanding was their financials.
Absolutely.
But we're not like that. We don't operate that way for the most part. We just full send, and whatever happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's the future look like let me pause there. So, your company name currently is Barret Landscaping. So then I jumped onto your website and went through your Facebook, and then I found your website, but it was like SavannahLandscapers.com. Yeah. Then also on your profile, it showed me Turf Scouts, and I remember it must have been this spring or summer, right? Somewhere in there. Yeah. Where I saw the first picture pop up. It said Turf Scouts. I'm like, oh, I thought maybe you started a side business or maybe like a turf company. I wasn't sure what was going on. So walk us through that process of what's going on there.
So for several years now, I have had the desire to work my way out of the mowing and shrub trimming business and get more into the lawn fert weed control thing. Obviously, that's come along with understanding the numbers better and efficiencies and that kind of thing. And follow along with a bunch of you other guys and see what y'all are doing. I'm like, man, I've thought about this for a couple of years. I finally got this winter. I'm like, all right, it's time to do it. I need to make this happen. But the reason to do the whole Turf Scouts thing is like Barret Landscaping, it's landscaping, and I'll send out flyers or ads or whatever as Barret Landscaping for turf, some kind of lawn fert thing, and it never fails. The calls coming in are for landscaping, and I'm like, this is not working. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, time to do something that really stands out. Like this is what we do, kind of thing. So I guess I started that process. I don't know, last November, December, got it going, not completely set up, but ended up getting into springtime this year and kind of needing to, focus on getting work done. But so the ultimate goal is to eventually at least have more lawn fert stuff going than we do the mowing and the shrub and that kind of stuff. And I, I've only always run one business. And that whole two thing kind of thing, I've had to make a lot of phone calls with people. Hey, how's this set up? How do you have this set up? I don't know. I just haven't wrapped my head around that whole concept, So I got Turf Scout started. I found a guy out of Atlanta that's recommended to me by a friend of mine that I had to do the whole logo and the color scheme and all that. And that was something I really wanted to look really awesome and look like it was cohesive. And I feel like he did a really good job with that. Got me a little character guy, that kind of thing. So
that's just going to be your whole weed and fert side division. It was just going to be Turf Scouts.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the name?
I don't know. I'm just throwing names, driving along, daydreaming and throwing names on paper. And,
was that the hardest part so far?
What's that?
Was that the hardest part so far?
I don't know. I don't know.
I can't even take I didn't even come up with the name for Turf Badger. I was talking to I think Brandon Peterman. His name gets dropped every episode, I swear. But we were talking. He's like, we were just talking about badgers and turf. He's like, dude, call it Turf Badger. And I'm like, all right, sold. Yeah. That's how we named the company. Brandon did.
Yeah.
Peterman named your company?
He did.
That's so funny. I'm gonna tell him that when I see him.
Yeah. So he named my company. So, and I was like, oh, that sounds really good, and we stuck with it. I was fighting it for a while too. Like it doesn't even matter at this point. Like it's so dumb to think about that, but
kind of those things you like at the time you like overthink, man. You get past, you're like, man, why was I overthinking that? You know what I mean? But so anyway, yeah. So that whole thing's in progress. Still got some work to do on it. But yeah, that's the ultimate goal with it. Is
it launched yet, or are you in the process of launching it? Are you sending out invoices? Do you have Service Autopilot set up that way? How you setting that up?
I got a website going for it. It's not completely done, but it's up and running. I got one truck branded as that.
Cool.
New yard signs branded as that. I got some direct mail going out as that. So I'd say my attorney's supposed to be doing me a DBA. I actually emailed him the other day, trying to follow up. And then I started messing around in Service Autopilot a little bit, and trying to separate out, because it's all still run out of Service Autopilot, right. But trying to separate out things that go out that are turf care related as Turf Scouts, and then anything that's, landscape related is still landscaping. That was a hang up I had for a while too. I'm like, how do I do this in this one software? Because I don't want two softwares.
Yeah, for sure. But then once you get through, it's so easy. And I feel like that's kind of like every level that I've been through so far. It's like, oh, well, that was super easy. Like I was on a phone call with Patrick Bet-David's CFO yesterday. And like he was helping us with a problem. And I got to the problem like, God, that was easy. Like it's so easy. Just learning, but you don't know until you know. And it's like, oh, well, yeah. And it makes sense, you know. But just again, learning from those people.
Yeah, for sure. But there's still a little bit of work to do in there, and I probably need to send out another email to the clients, because I sent one out, and it's like, hey, introducing blah blah, and this is going to be this, and that's going to be that, and I still get some that I don't think quite understand what we're doing. So,
do you do videos for those?
I have not done any videos.
We'll talk after the show.
Yeah, I think I last podcast that we did, I recommended the same thing. Like I sent when we did ours, I just sent made a video, put it on YouTube, and put it right in Service Autopilot, and just send it to all the customers. And then eventually we started like adding our logo, our name to the bottom of our invoices for the other company too, so they could kind of like start seeing it. And then we even had like, at first it was kind of a slow transition, but I'm not saying that's how I do it now, but we like started introducing like our hats on technicians and just different things like that to get the company used to seeing like different colors and stuff like that too. So ours was like a 6-month transition is what we figured, and then pulled the Band-Aid off. I'm not saying that I'd do that again, but
I'm probably about on the same time frame.
Nice. But like we had purchased a company, so it's a little bit different. So take that with a grain of salt.
I hope at some point that I'll get there, because I think that would help me to really grow it. I think there's a few local guys here that are getting a little older, and I've got guys with their ears out. If they ever get ready to get out, maybe I could.
It's just a phone call away, right? Or email or LinkedIn message. I do. I do this daily. Ask anyone that knows me. I send out messages every single day to potential like companies that are going to sell, that I know that they're a little older, 70s, they've been in the game a long time. I call one every single year. I called John the other day. John, you ready yet? And he just talks my ear off about everything under the sun. Not yet, but he's like, can you afford it yet? It's just funny. It's the funniest thing ever. But it's literally something that I do every single day. That's awesome. From time to time, you just follow up on one that says, yep, I'm ready now. So it's an email, it's a LinkedIn message, it's a DM, whatever, text message, phone call, like once a day. Just send out a few messages. So easy.
Yeah. I like it. It's good. Yeah.
There's so many different ways to acquire companies that you might even be able to get pretty inexpensive too. It's just an easy way, quick way to grow. It's like, what are those levers that we can pull that really make an impact? That's one of those levers that you can really pull that'll really make an impact. I mean, you can double your company overnight. Pretty simple. Yeah. It's harder than it sounds, but
I'd like to double the first side and then get out of the other side quickly.
You and everyone else. I say this all the time too. I feel like with the automations coming, and then like all the AI, and then like the robot mowers, I just think there's going to be big space for it. So many people are getting out. Yeah. I just see a future where people are going to go right back in.
Yeah.
And
I
if I was in a different market, I'd pull a trigger too.
Yeah.
I'd get back in.
Speaking of robot mowers, I bought a couple of those.
Nice. I've never used one. Why don't you talk us through those?
Yeah.
Which kind did you buy?
The Husqvarna.
Nice.
It's like a 450 something or another.
Okay.
I put one in my yard, one in my parents' yard, just to kind of mess with it and try to figure it out. Install was super easy.
What about like going over like concrete and gates? How does that work?
So I luckily with both of those yards, I don't have to deal with.
I know they have like
my yard's got.
They have like the gate doors that they can kind of drive through, right?
Yeah. No fences at my house for my parents, so I don't have to deal with that. I do have like a little sidewalk at my house where it just goes over. I didn't like isolate that off or anything, but it's pretty neat. It cuts a little differently. I mean, I don't leave.
You're not used to seeing the lines, right?
That mower cut, but like it's nice and even. And they're both down at the moment because the guy that was working for me that I had doing aerations managed to
cut the line,
hit the wires somehow or another, even though I had them marked. I don't know, man, come on, dude. But so I gotta use some of that irrigation background with the wire tracer and go track down where they got it.
So it's kind of like the invisible fence, right? And then you just set the mower up. And...
I mean, I just ran around the perimeter, and they make a machine you could bury, but I don't see why you would bury it. Honestly, like I just ran around, used a bunch of sod staples and stapled it down. But that makes it nice too, like because it took a little adjusting. Like I got a little slope on the front of my house where it kept going too far down. It would go out in the street, so I'd have to pick the wire up. Yeah,
just cruising down the road.
Yeah, I just run out to the road. My neighbor's calling, "Hey man, your robot's out the road." So I had to keep picking the wire up and backing it up the hill a little bit to where I could get it where it was perfectly, like it would stop right at the curb without. That was a problem. It would go over the curb and it couldn't back itself back up. But yeah, they're pretty neat, man. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just playing with it. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think the future's there. I remember I have a really good friend who bought a few pallets of them last year, and he was going all in, but he wanted to start out with a few pallets to see how it worked. And I talked to him recently. He's like, "Yeah, not yet." Not quite there yet.
I did too.
Not quite there yet,
Well, that was the other thing too. Like I wanted to see is like what's the time savings, on it. Like I ran some numbers on my parents' yard. My parents' yard's pretty small. Like it really didn't save that much labor. Like it wouldn't be worth it for their yard.
Yeah, because I mean you still have to go there edge weed eat and blow, right? Once a week.
Yeah. So maybe on bigger yards where there's a lot of mowing to do.
I mean they're making a lot of mowers that are all like geo fenced in and they can make stripes. So it's coming. Like it's not far off. Sure. I just like I said, going back to where I was started with this, as I just think that people are going to be jumping back in.
Yeah.
So the people who have the most clients at that time are the ones that are going to win. The early adopters, right? They're going to be the first ones to win. And I know our mentor, he's still on the board for one of the big robot companies. So it's always nice to have him in your back pocket too,
Yeah.
Not to drop any names, JP, but it's always nice to have a person like that, because I just think, again, it's coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you guys used any AI in your business yet?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's coming too. Like Chat GBT, I use that thing all the time. It's like my new best friend.
I haven't sat down to mess with that.
Oh my god, I use it every single day. And I ask it just most random stuff, most random things. I ask it, and it's amazing what it can do. And this is 3.0. I don't know.
Hey, I don't know. I use it a lot.
Yeah, it's like 3.0 or 4.0. I don't know where that now.
It's free.
Yeah, and it
can't believe it's free.
Yeah, it's wild. And they always said that robots were going to take over the blue collar first, right? Yeah, it's not what happened actually.
Yeah,
it took over the writers. I mean, people are still writing, but it took them more of that role than it did with us first. It's gonna be tough to get rid of us, our labor. Like I say that, they're going to prove me wrong. But the thing is, like spraying yards, spraying houses, and mowing and trimming. Like there's a lot of robots, I guess.
Yeah, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Not soon, but it's out there.
Yeah.
So, what do the next 5 years look like for Hobie? I know we're running out of time already. Told you I'll only keep you here like 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh man,
already closed in over an hour.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. That went fast. Next 5 years.
Are you gonna sell your company?
Well, No, I don't think so, man. Like, I'd like to get it to where, I'd like to have 7 or 8 fert trucks running, single guys, like making some good money. Jennifer and I have a few real estate or investment properties. She and I, this thing goes back to hand in hand with me and her and family. Like it's like our ultimate goal is to get, I don't know, 12 or 15 investment properties going to where she can kind of manage them, and I get the company, I don't know, 7 or 8 trucks, something like that would be nice. I think I can do that in my market, and hopefully make some good money. And
for sure. Do you have more fun on the real estate side, or is that more her stuff?
We kind of both handle it. So we got one house that we do a long-term tenant in, like that's pretty easy. You don't have to deal with that much. And then the other one we've been doing Airbnb out of, which that takes a little more management, conversation, keeping up. It makes a whole lot more money. But she and I are also kind of seeing like that seems like it might be starting to get a little saturated in our area. So I don't know how long we'll continue to mess with that, honestly.
Right on.
That may go back to just a long-term thing, man. Like,
cool.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just always curious to see, what the future looks like. And
yeah, man, that's the goal. I'll keep the business rolling, and we can do some more of that.
Are you gonna try to keep doing maintenance for a while? Or are you gonna pull the plug?
No, that'll be probably a couple more seasons.
Okay.
I don't foresee it going, away completely in the next 2 years.
Nice.
I actually have some pretty good guys right now, and so it's kind of rolling along pretty well. I think if I can make a few changes, separate out the mowing and the detail work a little bit, that'll help out a lot.
Right on.
We'll keep plugging along with it for a little while.
Yeah, how you guys doing on labor?
I mean, I've got the guys I've got have been pretty awesome. Like they're pretty reliable, and they're not perfect, but probably some of the best I've had in a long, long time.
That's awesome. Were they referrals from your current employees? How'd you get these guys? Been with you for a while?
Man, one of them, two of them been with me for 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
A couple other ones. I heard a part-time guy a while back. He works on a tugboat in New York, and he was coming down here for a couple weeks. So, he referred his buddy, and he's been here. Yeah, actually, now I think about it, I think every one of them just about was referrals.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
That's really cool. Like I said, I think you're doing a great job, obviously. And
thanks.
If they didn't like working there, they definitely wouldn't be recruiting family and friends. So you're doing something right for sure.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel like this is to your point right there. Like these guys like appreciate being here. It's really interesting. Like I had a guy that I don't know how much time we got, but I had a guy that was with me for about 4 or 5 years who was kind of my right hand man, and I ended up beginning that was what it was added on the last year. About February last year, I decided it was time for him to go. For a while, I had this feeling like he was running guys off. And I finally was like, all right, this is definitely the case. Like, so I just sat down. I had conversations with him about other things, and it just wasn't getting better. So finally, I was like, I need to pull this plug now. Don't get into spring season because I won't be able to do it. So I sat him down, like beginning of February, said, thanks, man, but it's not working. And man, what an amazing turnaround on staff. Like, I think everybody that's come and gone now is like, for the most part, giving me a 2-week notice. Like they've stayed here for a while. Like I even had one guy left, came back recently. That made a huge difference.
Cool.
Getting him out of there. I mean, he was just running guys off basically. You know?
And like they always say, A's don't want to work with B's and C's, right?
Yeah.
A players want to work with A players.
Yeah. I think just being respectful to people too, man. Like, not talking down to him, not yelling at him. Like, that's kind of what he was.
Gotcha.
There was some of that going on. Maybe not right in front of me, but you
just heard it through the grapevine.
Figure all that out. I'm like, yeah, buddy, it's not working anymore.
Yeah.
So no, the crew's good. The guys are good. I could use one more, but we'll keep plugging along. And hey, there's lots of people applying right now. I've had job ads running for a little while. There's a lot of people applying.
Yeah. On where you have job ads at now?
Just on Indeed.
Cool. People are starting to apply.
Yeah.
Did you have that luck last year?
I think now it's better than it was last year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yep.
We're actually getting people to show up to interviews this year, but we just don't stop. Like we're fully staffed. I actually think we have one extra, and we're still running interviews every single day.
Yeah,
looking for those really, really good ones. Cool, man. Well, like I said, we're an hour in already, so I don't want to take too much of your time. You're busy. We're busy, and I appreciate you being here.
Fun, man.
Thanks,
absolutely.
And,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for your friendship over the years too. Appreciate you. All right, buddy. Well, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the Pest Control Millionaire Podcast. If this was valuable to you, please leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. It really makes a big difference for our growth. And if you do need any help growing your business, go ahead and check out pestcontrolmillionaire.com. We have lots of courses up there, from sales to operations. I have some courses there about producing short-form content. Plus, we have a mentorship program where you can get one-on-one business coaching from the Pest Control Millionaire himself. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.